So Courtney Cox plays the role Monica in Friends. So who is Monica? I think that Monica is Monica Lewinsky because I think that she is the biological sister of Courtney Cox, which plays Monica in Friends. And not only do they look similar, but I found this photo of Monica Lewinsky, which seems to be inspired by the 90s, which gave me direct associations to Friends. Courtney Cox is 165 centimeters, which is a twin height below the sister of my biological grandmother on my father's side. And according to the age of Courtney Cox and Monica Lewinsky, I think that they are the biological cousins of my biological father on my father's side. Monica Lewinsky is 168 centimeters, which is the same height as for my biological mother, Kate Elizabeth. And since I have a non-biological aunt with the name Monica, I think that Monica Lewinsky and Courtney Cox is my biological aunt on my mother's side. And when it is normal to use the names from the above generation to the below generation, it makes me wonder why Mary-Kate, Ashley, and Elizabeth have a sister with the name Courtney. However, my brother through 33 years is just my non-biological brother, even though he is in biological family with my biological half-brothers. And biological families name themselves based on other biological families, even though they are not in a family with each other. And on the information page for Courtney Taylor Olsen, it says that she is the sister of Elizabeth under her title. It does not mention Mary-Kate and Ashley. So is that done in order to try to inform other people about the fact that my biological mother, Kate Elizabeth, is the sister of Courtney Cox? But according to the height of Courtney Taylor Olsen, she is 163 centimeters, which is a twin height below Courtney Cox. So the theory about the fact that the below generation named themselves based on the above generation seems to be correct. Even though Courtney Cox is not necessarily the mother of Courtney Taylor Olsen, she could be her biological aunt. But Courtney Cox and Monica Lewinsky is just the biological half-sisters of my biological mother, Elizabeth. And since Courtney Cox is connected to Monica Lewinsky by appearance, and Monica Lewinsky is connected to my biological grandmother on my mother's side by height, they share the same biological mother as my biological mother, Elizabeth. Therefore, there is nothing wrong with the fact that my biological mother, Elizabeth, could have children with the siblings of Courtney Cox, because that is not her siblings if they are just half siblings and they have another biological mother. And yes, Monica Lewinsky is also the sister of Courtney Cox, but now I am comparing the name Courtney Cox to Courtney Taylor Olsen. I am trying to figure out how Courtney Taylor Olsen is one generation below Courtney Cox, and they are connected together by their names. So if my biological mother Elizabeth have children with the biological half-siblings of Monica and Courtney, which is not the siblings of my biological mother Elizabeth, then Courtney Taylor Olsen would become the aunt child of Courtney and Monica, while she is the child of my biological mother. So that Monica and Courtney is the aunt of Courtney Taylor Olsen on her biological mother's side by genetics. And so that Monica and Courtney is the aunt of Courtney Taylor Olsen on her biological father's side, because our biological mother has a child with their brother. So if this theory is correct, Courtney Taylor Olsen must look like her biological father, which does not look like Monica or Courtney, because she does not look like my biological mother Elizabeth. Neither does she look like Monica or Courtney, so then that is the only option left if this is the correct theory. So Courtney Taylor Olsen is probably the biological aunt-child of Courtney Cox because of her name and height, but is she also the child of my biological mother Elizabeth? That is hard to say, because there is nothing connecting her to my biological mother Elizabeth. And since Monica and Courtney share the same biological mother as my biological mother Elizabeth, and Monica and Courtney is the biological aunts of Courtney Taylor Olsen on their biological father's side, there is nothing connecting Courtney Taylor Olsen to my biological mother. Anna Richardson looks like Monica Lewinsky and Courtney Cox, and she has the same height as Courtney Cox. Therefore, I think that Anna Richardson is the biological sister of Monica Lewinsky and Courtney Cox. Maybe also the biological sister of my biological mother Elizabeth. But it is only Monica Lewinsky which is connected to my biological mother by height. And none of them looks like my biological mother Elizabeth. Therefore, it could be that only Monica Lewinsky is the biological half-sister of my biological mother Elizabeth. My non-biological aunt with this name Monica has the last name Dreyer, and that is almost the same last name as for Natalia Dyer. The only difference in that last name is an additional R in the last name of my non-biological aunt Monica. Natalia Dyer is a twin height below Courtney Cox and Anna Richardson in height. Natalia Dyer looks like the twin of Timothy Chalamet. Natalia Dyer looks like the twin of Timothy Chalamet. But there is almost 1 year in between their births. So in order for them to be twins, someone must have been hiding Timothy for almost 1 year. And that is not a problem because they have been hiding me from the official world for 35 fucking years. And even though there might be a twin height in between them, they must have gotten that height from 2 different parents if they are twins. So is that even possible? I do not know. Because there is a lot of incidents where the twins have the height from that same parent with just 2 centimeters in between. Timothy Chalamet has the same height as Elvis Presley. So I think that my non-biological aunt Monica is the biological cousin of Monica Lewinsky and her biological siblings because they have that same name, and then that is as close as you get when they are assumed to be part of that same generation, and when they cannot be siblings because they have that same name. Because based on their age, they should be part of that same generation. Anne Hensch died after I figured out who Monica in Friends is. But I had not written it down or shared it on the internet with anyone before she died. Anne Hensch has the same height as Courtney Cox. And Anne Hensch looks like Meryl Streep, which has the same height as Monica Lewinsky.